Hello, I'm Brooke Dibley from Simply Speaking SLT and you're watching my tutorial video for my escape house game. Now this is not called an escape house because we're trying to help someone escape from a house. It's called escape house because it's very similar to escape room. That's kind of the feel I went for here, an escape room type activity. However, in this game, the person is searching an entire house. So this video here is going to seem very long, but I've broken it up into bits and there will be timestamps below. Okay, in the description box on YouTube, there's timestamps that you can click. This is what we're going to cover, and then you can skip forward to the parts you want to watch. Please though, if you're having trouble with any part of playing this game, before you choose to reach out to us for customer service, go back and watch the parts of the video you choose to skip, if you do skip any, because there's lots of important information in here that you might need to help you have success. So the first thing we're going to look at is PowerPoint basics. Now most of the files included in this download are PowerPoint files, and it's very important that you understand the basics of making sure that this can work for you. The way you set it up the first time is going to help you have success. If you don't follow the instructions in the PowerPoint basics part, you're not going to be able to use this file. However, if you have purchased one of my games before, you likely already know these things, so feel free to skip it, but if you do have trouble, make sure you go back and watch that. Then we're going to have a look at all the included files, because there are a lot of included files with this. This activity is jam-packed with what I've given you, and trying to give you guys something that's really versatile to be used open-ended right up into very personalized and editable. So we'll have a look at the folders, and then we'll have a look at how to set up the form. So the way that you crack the code in this game is that you're in a Google form which is set up to only accept a certain answer, and that answer being the correct code in which you found within the home here in the PowerPoint game. And so I need to show you how to set up the form, and by having you set up your own form, it means you have editable abilities with that form and you can change it if you want to, and we'll look at that in a moment. Then we're going to look at how to play. So we need to cover how to set up the form first, because before you can even play open-ended, you need to make sure you can access the form, and then you're ready to play open-ended. So if you're wanting the most no prep way of using this game, all you need to do is set up the form once and you're good to go, and you can play open-ended. So we're going to cover how to play open-ended, and then we're going to look at the extra worksheets I've included if you want to expand on that using open-ended, to be able to edit some worksheets to go along with it, which could be printable or not printable, and that you could edit to use with mixed groups or personalize this for your students' goals. However, there's also going to be later on an opportunity to edit the actual game itself, not with worksheets, which we'll talk about right at the end. But then what we're going to talk about is the different versions, because I've given you two versions of this game so that you can play more than once. The Wi-Fi code changes for both versions. And then right at the end, we will talk about making your own, how to edit the game so that your targets show up within the game, so that you can control what is on the clue cards on one side, so that your students might have to do a certain thing before they can flip the card over and see the clue for the Wi-Fi. And then also how that you could, if you want to, make your own form so that you could change the Wi-Fi code again and again and again and play over and over again. And so that is why it's important you have edit access for the form. So we'll be looking at those two options as well. And then lastly, I'll be showing you guys where you can get some images included that go with this game, so that you can insert them into the target cards if you want to. That is included with this download. If you own any of my other editable games, you may already have access to those cards, but we'll cover that as well so you know where they are. So let's get into the first part of this video. We're going to look at the PowerPoint basics, and then I'll see you back here after that. This is the part of the tutorial which we call the PowerPoint tips for success, and this part of the tutorial is in every single one of our PowerPoint games and PowerPoint file downloads, and so if you've seen this before and you want to skip it, just move along to the part of the video where you can't see this presentation anymore and you start seeing the game in which you're watching a tutorial for. Now, the reason I call this PowerPoint Tips for Success is because if you do not do these things, this game will not work. And so that's why we put this information at the beginning of every tutorial, because it's very important. So, first things first, where is your file? Okay, so you may have downloaded this from Teachers Pay Teachers or from our membership site, simplydigitalslp.com. Either way, your file is most likely in your computer's downloads folder. If that's where it default goes, if you've changed your download folder for any reason in your computer's defaults, then it'll be somewhere else, but it should be in your downloads folder. Can I use it straight away? Yes and no. First, wait, you need to remove it from the folder it was downloaded in, even if your computer says that it's decompressed the folder, okay? So our stuff is in zipped folders, and if it downloads on a Windows computer, it's very obviously a zipped folder, and you need to hit the extract button or just drag out the files. But on a Mac computer, it looks like it's decompressed, but it hasn't. It has not decompressed it enough, so please make sure you drag the files out of that folder, okay? So that, and save them somewhere else on your computer where you will find them easily. If you do not do this step, the games will not work as intended, and you will be emailing me saying these don't work, and I will say, please make sure you have removed it from the folder. Okay, great. Now, which software do I need? So this is clearly outlined in every product description on Teachers Pay Teachers, and also at sign up. When you sign up for the Simply Digital Club, there's this big read this before you sign up thing that tells you this, so hopefully you already know this. But you need to open this in PowerPoint 2016 or newer, okay? The browser-based version of PowerPoint will not work. You need to open it in the computer-based version. The free version of PowerPoint won't work if this is an editable game. So if this video is for a editable game that you can add targets to or add words to, then, or you play in edit mode, then you cannot use the free version of PowerPoint, which is available for Macs in the Mac App Store. However, if this is not editable and you're using it as is, then the free version will be fine. That it just doesn't allow editing. Google Slides or Keynote won't work either. You need the Mac or Windows version of PowerPoint 2016 or later. Some of our games work on your iPad straight away, but if it is editable, you need to open it on your computer first to edit it, then send it to your iPad and open it in the PowerPoint app. The PowerPoint app on an iPad is free, but if it's editable, you need to edit it first on your computer. Now, please note that these notes here that I'm saying now will also be included in the download, and the download will be called PowerPoint Basics, okay? All right, please make sure you save your work. So if you're editing a file, if it is editable, make sure that you save a clean copy first, and then you save a copy to edit, okay? And you can do this by saying File, Save As when you click, or you can click File, Save a Copy. So it depends on which version of PowerPoint you're using. Older versions say File, Save As, like 2016, and then newer versions like mine say File, Save a Copy. So not say, you don't say it, obviously, you click it. Okay, if you lose your clean copy, you can go back and download this file from, oh, there's a typo, I need to fix that, from your purchase section on TPT or from the membership site if you're a member, obviously. Okay. How to disable full screen mode. So if you're using this on a computer, especially in teletherapy, you're probably going to want to split screen or not have this full screen. This is how you do it, and it's in the PDF, which is in the download, called PowerPoint Basics. Step 1, you go to the slideshow tab at the top of PowerPoint. Step 2, you go to where it says set up slideshow, and then step 3, you make sure this is clicked, browsed by an individual window, okay? Make sure you've got that box ticked and then hit OK, and then now it will browse in its own window and you can split screen it, minimize it, move it, that kind of thing. Now, how to enter play mode. So sometimes people open my PowerPoint games and don't realize they need to enter play mode and then think it doesn't work. You need to enter play mode, otherwise it's not going to work. So to do that, when it's time to play, obviously if you're editing it, you don't do this. It's just when it's time to play, you go to the slideshow tab up the top on the ribbon, and then you hit from the beginning. Unless I say otherwise in the tutorial, you do from the beginning, and then it will start the game from the first slide. And how to exit play mode, I may have put an exit button on the game, but if I haven't, you can right click while in play mode, right click, and then hit end show. It'll be there, okay? Okay, so if you want to use this activity in teletherapy, there are a couple of extra things to consider. During teletherapy, you open this game in PowerPoint and then you just share your screen with your student. You do not upload this into your platform. That will not work. It'll kind of flatten everything. You want to just open it in PowerPoint and then share your screen. Make sure that you share your entire screen, not just the window, because when you enter play mode, that opens a new window, and so your student won't see it because you've only shared the static window in edit mode. So make sure you share your entire screen, not just the window. And if you can't give mouse controls, then that is a limitation of your platform, not this material. And it's okay if you can't. Even if you can't give mouse controls and therefore the student can't interact with the game, it can still be very fun and engaging. You just do the clicking and then you get creative and include your student in other ways by having them tell you what to choose. For my spinners, I have them tell me when to spin, all these fun things that you can make it your own, but just know that you're not doomed if you can't give mouse controls. It can still be very fun. I have probably 50% of my caseload I don't give mouse controls to because it just doesn't work for them and their personality or the device they're on, and we still have a great time. Okay, so that's the end of these. I just want to point out that in that PDF you can download is some more information about our membership site and also a blog post on storing materials on your iPad in case you want to store this material on your iPad as well as on your computer. Okay, now let's get back into the rest of the tutorial, which is about this specific activity that you have downloaded. Okay, I hope you found that helpful. Now what we're going to do is have a look at all the folders that were in this download so you can understand how to find what you need. So the first thing is where are the game files. So obviously that's in the folder called game files. So open that up. You've got V1, which means version 1, and V2, which means version 2. They're the exact same game. They've just got a different Wi-Fi code programmed into them so that you open up a different form for each one and can crack a different code. So then it is the Wi-Fi code forms. So let's quickly have a look what's in here. This is a PDF and it will look like this when you open it. And I like to just make sure I can fit one full page so I can see it. So you've got this, click this one here to get the form for version 1 and this one here for form for version 2, because each version of the game has a different form because it has a different password, okay, a different Wi-Fi password. So we'll have a look at that in the next section of how to set up the forms, but I just wanted to point out that that's there. And these game files here look like the PowerPoint game, okay, that you've seen before. This is not in play mode yet, but you guys know now from watching the basics how to enter play mode, present mode. Okay, and then extras. Now in here, you're going to find answer keys. So where are the envelopes if you can't find them, and the Wi-Fi code answer for version 1. And I need to put in the Wi-Fi code answer for version 2. So that will be in there before I upload this. And make your own is where you're going to find the templates for making your own target cards and making your own Wi-Fi code. So that there is in the extras section, and then worksheets. We're going to have a look at those later as well, but they're in there if you're looking for the worksheets that are added extras. And then tutorial video will be in this folder. Obviously you found it because you're watching this. And in the tutorial video is also a link, in that PDF is also a link to get the picture cards as well. But so that looks like this, but it's a PDF, and the video is under here, and this is where you click to get the included articulation cards if you want to edit this game. Okay, so that is the folders. Now we're going to look at how to play open-ended. No, we're not. We're going to look at the forms first, how to set up the forms. So what we're going to do is go to the folder, back to the main part of the folder. Oh, sorry guys, back to this part of the folder where, you know, the front of the folder, and we're going to go to game files, and we're going to open up the Wi-Fi code forms. So that looks like this. We're going to play version 1 for the sake of this tutorial, but you do the exact same thing for version 2. I'm going to click this button here, and it's going to ask me to make a copy, okay? So this is because you need your own copy of the form, because otherwise every single time you guys do the game in therapy, it's going to add to my Google Drive your answers to the Wi-Fi password, and that's not ideal for any of us, but also for you guys, you wouldn't be able to edit the end, which will all make sense in a moment. So we're going to go make a copy. I'm just going to click that. Sorry guys, my Wi-Fi is a bit slow today, especially when I film my screen, so don't worry. Okay, so as you can see here, this form looks like this, and it's now in my drive. So if you have clicked the force copy button, if you've clicked the link and it's asked you to make a copy, it might ask you to sign into your Google account if you haven't already. So you need to save this to your Google account. You're not going to have to remember where it is. Don't worry, I'll show you why in a moment. But you just need to log in with your Google account so that you can access this. All right. If you don't have a Google account, or if you think you don't have a Google account, but you have a Gmail account, you have a Google account, just log in with your Gmail account. Or if you don't have one, you can go sign up. It's free. Okay, so as you can see, this is called V1 here because this is for version 1. That's how you know this is for version 1. All right, that's the only way that they look different, the forms. Okay, so it says here, search the house to find all parts of the Wi-Fi password. Now, because you have a copy of this, if you want to just play as it is, you can add the link to this form to the game so you don't have to come do this again. But before I show you how to do that, I just want to point some things out. This is edit mode, right? So if you want to see what it'll look like when it's time to fill in the form, you can hit this preview button here. And this is what the form looks like. So you put your answer in here. So during the game, you're going to see we're going to find part 1. And so part 1 is 20, I think. And if we click, yep, that's correct. But if I accidentally put in a 2, it says that is not correct. Hint, this is a 2-digit number. Okay, so it's set up so that you have to find the different parts, and as you fill them in, it gives you the feedback straight away whether you're right or wrong. Then you hit submit and it's going to show you a message. Now let's go back to edit. This is the edit mode that we came to before. If we go to settings and we go to presentation, see here where it says confirmation message, that's what you're shown once you've submitted it. And it says, well done, you did it. You cracked the Wi-Fi code. Great work. Thank you for your help. Now Henry can access the internet, watch his favorite movie. What is your favorite movie, and would you search a house to be able to watch it? Now, this you can edit now because I've given you a copy of the form. You can edit this. And so what that means is that you could, if you want to, you could change what this says and say, you can now go watch the trailer for your favorite movie, or you can watch a YouTube video or a reward of some kind. You can now play this game online. So you can change this and then put a link in there that you can copy paste into your browser and go there. So you can change this to say whatever you want here, okay? Or just leave it as it is. It works fine just as it is and all fits with the game. Okay, and then you'd hit save, all right, because you've changed the back end, all right? And so now once you've changed it to be what you want, and right at the end of this video, I'm going to show you how to fully change this form to be a fully new Wi-Fi code if you want it to be. But what we're going to do is we're going to go to send. We're going to go to link. We're going to shorten the link if you want to. I like to because it's just easier. And then we're going to copy it by hitting copy. And now it's on our clipboard. Now let's open up version 1 because this is for version 1, all right? So we're going to open up version 1 and we're in edit mode, all right? We're not in present mode. We're going to go to slide 2 and we're going to click on here on this button. We're going to right click. We're going to edit the link. It'll actually say add link. So let me just remove the link because I need to do that for you guys. When you get this game, it won't have a link. I've already done this. So that's why it had a link, but you'll right click and you'll go link. Okay, so that's what you're going to do. Right click, link. And then I'm going to hit paste it there. Did you see what I did? So let me show you again. So right click, link, and then here where it says address, paste in that link for your form. Now this means that whenever you're playing the game in the future now, like save it to your computer as like your finished copy, because it means now if we go to play the game, slideshow from the beginning, and we hit start and we hit enter the password, it's now going to take us to that form and you're not going to have to force a copy again. See, it's right there. And so every time you play the game, you now have it. So you only have to do that once on your game file, save your game file. Obviously, if you've re-downloaded this again, you're going to have to do that again and put your link in there. Okay. All right. So now we're going to go to the next part of the game. Right. So we've set up our form. It's ready to go. We've opened up the game we want to play, version 1. So I'm going to open that up here. Let me just exit out of it so we can go from the beginning. It looks like this. We know we're in version 1 because up here it says V1. All right. So, and then we know that we've got our form under here already. So we can enter play mode from the beginning on the slideshow tab. We can read our student this. This is Henry. He really wants to watch his favorite movie online. Before he can watch the movie, he needs to find the Wi-Fi password. Henry's mother has hidden different parts of the password around the house. Can you help Henry find the red envelopes and crack the code? Now, just so you know, this text box in edit mode is editable. You can change the story if you want to, and you can change what the speech mark says, but you can't change him. That's flattened because of copyright, of commercial use licensing for this clip art. I have to have it flattened. Anyway, we're going to hit start. Okay, so as we can see here, we're looking at the house, all right? And we've clicked into the password button and it's brought up our form. Now, you could choose one of two things. Your form is open, right? We saw it before. Here's our form. And here's in PowerPoint our game, which we can see because we've made it browse by individual window, as I showed you in the PowerPoint basics section of this video. What I like to do is split screen them next to each other, just for how I work. But if your students will get too distracted that way, you can just leave it like this, where you would open up the form when you need it and come back to the house when you need it. Obviously, guys, we're sharing more than one window here, so you need to make sure that in teletherapy, if you're using this in teletherapy, that you split your screen, that you share your screen, your entire monitor, not just this window. You need to share your entire screen, not just one window. Okay, so I'm going to split screen I'm on a Windows computer, so I go Windows and the left arrow key. Oh, gotta click in here first. And then I can bring up my form, but you can just Google how to split screen on your computer. So for me, I would Google how to split screen on Windows 10, because that's what I'm using. That's my operating system. So I'm just gonna resize this a little bit. You might set this up before your session, or sometimes I just talk to my students about what I'm doing if it is a teletherapy session. You can use this in person. You could put this on a smart board. You could perhaps bring your laptop to your session. It might work on an iPad. I can't guarantee that it will, but it might work on an iPad. I will check that before I upload it, and I will put that in the description. So if you've bought this from my store, you'll know before you buy whether this will work on an iPad. And if you've got this from a membership site, you will know before you download it if this will work on an iPad. Obviously, if you're going to use this on an iPad though, you'd need to be in the PowerPoint app and then move to the Google Forms app. So to be honest, it's probably going to work better on a computer when you can just see it all here, but it probably will also work on an iPad, and I'll confirm that for you guys in the description. Okay, so we've got them next to each other. So this over here on the right is kind of like a padlock that needs a certain code, but it's the Wi-Fi password, right? Like that's the code. And so we need to get the answers right on this form for us to have cracked the code. Now in the house here, we can see where it says part 1 to 3. So to find part 1 to 3, we would look in the living room. Now you don't have to work that way, like systematically through them all, because as you can see, they're kind of random. You can have your students choose what room that you're going to, but what it helps you do is if at the end you realize, part 3, we haven't found part 3. Obviously, we know that there's still an envelope in the living room we haven't found. So that's just why I put those there here on this home page. So when you hit the home button, it brings you back to here. So let's start by looking in the, let's look in the kitchen, which we know has part 4 to 6, but that doesn't really matter. By the way, this has gone red because I clicked in here to type and then didn't write anything, and this is a required question because you have to put in all the answers before you can move forward. Don't worry about that, it's not a problem. Okay, so we're here in the kitchen. Remember, you've got answer keys if for some reason you can't find all of the envelopes, but I'm going to click on this envelope here. I'm going to click the open button, and then I'm going to click read card. And now this front side of the flip card always looks like this. This is like the card that was in the envelope, and then you need to flip it over to see the clue. This is the part of the card that's editable if you choose to edit this game, which is covered at the end of this video, and I'll show you how to change out this graphic to be a different graphic, so that you can have whatever targets you want. So this might be a WH question, might be a mixed group, so you might have 4 different targets on here with each student having to do something, and then we can flip the card. So we're going to flip the card. Wi-Fi code part 5 is 90. So what we're going to do over here, remember sometimes when you're split screening, to get your mouse to scroll, depending on the operating system you have, you need to click into that window so that your mouse knows you're there. But my computer does it automatically because I'm using an up-to-date operating system. So part 5, Wi-Fi code part 5 is 90. So we're going to write 90 in there. And then we can flip the card back over or not. It doesn't really matter. We've put in part 5. Now let's go back to the kitchen. So we can click down here. You're always going to find your room to go back to here. Click this button. You might have to double click because again, your mouse needs to know where you are. And then we can find this one and do it again. Flip the card, Q, and so that's for part 6. So I'm going to write a Q in here. Now if I write in a little q, it's going to tell me I'm wrong. So I need to write a capital letter because it said there in the clue, hint, this is a capital letter. Okay, all of the letters are always capitals. So you could always just turn your caps lock on if you want to. And then we can go back. We need to find one more because there's 3 cards in every room, and we know that because at the beginning it said it was part 4 to 6. Okay, so here is the last one. Or have we already done this one? No, part 4 is H. Oops, I had my caps lock on. All right, so we found all the parts from this game here, so of this room. So we can go back to the house by hitting the house button in the bottom right corner, and so on and so forth. Just keep looking around the house to find the different parts. So remember, from each room you can always go back to the home house there to move to a different room. So what you will do then is work your way through the house. There's 3 cards in each room. Okay, so obviously we're covering open-ended right now, so this isn't actually targeting speech and language therapy unless you choose to use it that way. I mean, there's a bunch of different ways you could target speech and language using this game in an open-ended way, so much contextualized language. However, remember, for this to, if you want to, you could like split screen this with your target cards. If you have, I've got digital flip cards, digital task cards, and I've got spinners on my membership site which you could use, but you might have some other worksheets or task cards that you want to split screen this with, or maybe have a student say a word 10 times, then they can find a card. So you can use this in a really open-ended way. But if you want it to target speech and language as itself as a game, you'll need to edit it to add in your targets. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause the video and go in and put the answer in here for you, so that you can kind of see how this works. Remember, there is an answer key, so if you only get through some of it and your students really want to, it's the end of the session and they really want to get to the end, you can go find the answer key and put it in, or you could prime the form before you share your screen with some of the answers. So you might put in all the answers except for what's in the living room or something like that if you only have a short amount of time. Okay, so I'm going to go put in all the answers on the form and then bring you back so you can see what happens. Okay, so I've entered in all my answers that I found throughout the house of all the different parts of the Wi-Fi. Password, this visual here is just a visual representation to help your students understand why there's 18 questions here, because it's an 18-part code, and this image here, or this idea of a Wi-Fi password being set up this way, is on all the worksheets, which we'll look at soon if you did want to use this with the worksheets. But what we're going to do now is we're going to hit submit, and then you can see what happens. Well done, you did it. So this is where your confirmation comes up. So if you did have a URL here that for this child's reward or the student's reward, you could copy it, copy and paste it into here. But that is how you would play the game, is find all the clues. So remember, there's 3 clues in each room, and there's an answer key if you can't find them. The hardest one is probably in here, that there's a red envelope stuck sitting here on the chair. It kind of blends in, but other than that, it's nice and straightforward. Okay, so now what we're going to do is just talk a little bit about the different versions. The different versions have the cards in exactly the same place, right? So the cards are in the same place, but the only difference is the card that you flip that has an answer on the back has a different number or letter as a part of it. And so that's why there's a different form for version 1 as there is for version 2, because version 2 is primed to need the version 2 Wi-Fi answers. Okay, so other than that, the forms are exactly the same. Okay, all right, so that is how to play in the most open-ended way. One thing you could do if you're doing this in a group is you want to make out that this is a cooperative game. Like, there's no winner or loser. You're working together to crack the code. And I mostly make cooperative games most of the time, unless it's a 2-player game with a clear winner or loser, because I think cooperative games are great and few and far between when it comes to digital games for speech therapy, and it means you can work together with your student if it's just a one-on-one session to take turns and find the code, or, you know, have them work on it with your help, or you can also use it in groups as well and them working together. And I think that's really nice for that collaboration. So the next thing we're going to look at is the extra worksheets, and that ties in well to what we were just talking about, because I would probably use the worksheets mostly with groups. But one thing I do want to point out is if you don't want to have this form opened all the time, and you think that you're going to forget which parts you've found, or for some reason you want to keep track of your Wi-Fi password a different way, and then right at the end come in and put all the answers in, then what we can do is we can open up this file here. So let's go back to the extras. So this is the extras folder, and if we go to worksheets, we've got Wi-Fi code worksheet NP. That means no print if you're not wanting to print it. So if we open that up, this is how it looks. So you could keep track. So you've got a few different options to how you could keep track. You could write in the code here, you know, as you find it, right? And then at the end, go in and fill in the form. Or you might just want to keep track of what you found and what's to go. So especially if you have a student that really wants that reward at the end, so you know, just put an X in. I'm just typing the letter X as you find it. So then you might go to the living room, and that has well, you know, the dining room that has 8 to 10. So you might tick those off, and it helps you see like, oh, okay, so we need 14, 15, and 16. Which rooms do we need to go to then from back on that home page? So this might just be helpful for you. So this is the no print option, and then I've also we'll leave them open. I've also got a printable option. So this is the idea being that you print it off and cut it, and you could give each student their own, you know, you'd print this as many times as you need, and you give each student their own slip, and they can keep track of what the password is, and then at the end together you can go in and open the form and put it in. I picture this working well if you were using this on a smart board in a group therapy session, or using it on a computer in a session together, and then, you know, each student can have their own to fill in and keep track of. And then though, I thought, well, you might want to have each student have their own worksheet with their own targets on it, so that you can still play the open-ended version without editing the cards. But when you flip it over and you see, oh, it's part 7, then they have to say or do a certain thing. Each person takes their turn before you put in the part 7. So that's what this is here, the editable worksheets file. So that's in the worksheet section in extras. It's called editable worksheets. These are, so we've got 2 different slide types here, and you can add a new slide and choose one, add images or add text. Okay, so this one's to add images and this one's to add text. And oh, I forgot to put the I'll make sure that each one has add text on it. Just a moment. Okay, so in this worksheet, which you could make and then either save as a PDF for each student to use in teletherapy, or print off if you were in person. If you want to add an image, you can just click on this pictures button and it will open up your computer, so you could add an image that's on your computer, or you can drag and drop images into these spaces. These are just placeholders. If you don't want to use this placeholder, you can just delete it and then put your own thing in there. But the placeholders are nice because you can just drag and drop things in. And this is when the square cards could be really helpful, because included in this download, like I showed you before, are these square cards. So if we just click on this, and it's in the PDF where in the tutorial video folder. This is the PowerPoint version, but it'll be a PDF for you. And it opens up this folder here, which has all these different speech cards in it, and you can open them up. So if we're doing S-Blends, and then you can download them, and you could insert these pictures into that worksheet and just drag and drop it in from your folders from on your computer. And then, or another option is you might have, depending on the version of PowerPoint you're using, if you go to the insert tab, you could go pictures, and you could go online pictures, and then you might be able to find what you need here. As always, I always use the Apple if you've watched my tutorial videos before. You can search as well. You don't have to just click what's already there, and then it will automatically fill the picture space, and you can delete that. And so the idea being that you put your pictures in here, and then you can print it. We don't need those design ideas. You could print it and give it to your student, and then they write in here as you find the answers. So you've uncovered part 1. Well, we have to say apple first, or describe an apple or something, and then whatever your targets are, and then they can write on this line what part 1 was, 20, or whatever the number or the letter was. Okay, so I've left it as just numbers and letters because they're the easiest things for children to write, and they can keep track of it on their worksheet, and then at the end you can open the form and put it all in. So there's lots of different options of using this, and that's why this video is so long, because I've tried to give you so many different options. You do not have to use these worksheets. You do not have to edit anything. This is just to kind of give you extra if you want to up the versatility and make it so you could use this in lots of different ways. I've just tried to think of all the different ways you might want to use it. Slide 2 is adding text. So you might just want to type a question or type a word. This is definitely by far the easiest because you can just type. You don't have to go find pictures. So again, if you wanted to do pictures, you could just delete slide 1 and then, go add text, a new slide. Click the down button, choose add text. You could do as many as you want, and just type in there. And then when you save it as a PDF, it could be a PDF, or you could just print it straight from here. You could make it for different goals and have it to always use. So lots of different options. All right, so that has gone through the basics of using this in an open-ended way, and then using the worksheets with it if you want to. But now I want to show you how to edit the actual game if you want to add your targets to it. And then we're going to look at how to change out the code if you really want to as well. That's kind of the extra for experts part. All right, so let's get into that part of the video. So we want to add targets to the cards, the flip cards that are in the game. So we're going to go to the game files area and we're going to open up. It doesn't really matter which one of these. I'm just going to copy paste the file. Control C, Control V, Command C or Command V on a Mac or Windows, or you could, on a Mac computer you'd use Command, and on a Windows computer you use Control. But you don't have to do it this way. You could open the file and save a copy of it, right? You can do lots of things. I'm just going to rename it to be Escape House. Would help if I don't have my caps lock on. Escape House K Mixed. Okay. Sound mixed. So I'm adding my targets, all right? So you're going to need a copy of the game, all right, to add your cards to. But first you need to make the cards to go in it. So I've tried to make this as easy as possible. Even though it seems like I'm adding a step, trust me, this is to make it easier for you so it's all the right size and it all fits perfectly in the template. So go back to the main folder where it says extras, make your own, and open up the target card template. Because we're making target cards, we're adding targets, we're not changing the code. Okay, so that looks like this. And at the moment, it's got a placeholder so you could add an image to it. However, I've given you lots of different options. If we go to the layout button, so we're clicking on slide 1, we go to the layout button, you can do a single image, you can do 2 images. Don't worry about these design ideas, they always come up. So you could put in an image, and I've left a place for you to add a label if you want. If you don't add the label, it's fine. When you export this as an image, this won't show up, which I'll show you how to export it as an image. So you just change the layouts here. Do we want 4 images? So for example, if you were doing a mixed group session, you might put an image here for Harry, an image here for Larry, an image here for Holly, and an image here for Molly. They're your fake students I'm making up, and you might put their names in here so they know, so that when we flip this card, we know that in the clue card, Molly has to say this one, Holly has to say this one. You can have multiple targets on one page. Or if you're just making it for K initial like we are, I just want the layout to be a single picture. But there's more layouts than just pictures. I've also got 1 typed, 2 typed, and 4 typed. So you could have 4 typed questions on one card if you want. You could just have a typed word if you want. And again, 2 typed. And again, you don't have to use these headings if you don't want to. And 1 typed. But we're going to do pictures because we're making it for K initial. And I've given you the square cards for articulation. So that's what we're going to use here. They're the ones that I showed you how to access in the Google Drive that you can download and use. So let's go to, we're going to insert a picture because actually, you know what we're going to do? We're going to open the folder. Just a second. Okay, so with this game, you get the articulation cards. But see all these other ones? If you are a member of my membership site, you get access to all of those as well without having to pay any extra. So we'll talk about the membership site at the end. There's also some information about my membership site in the PDF download. That's where you found this video and where you'll find the cards. Okay, so this is what it looks like. So the best thing to do is download the photos you want from the Google Drive, put them in your computer. I'm going to use these K ones, right? And I'm just going to move them over here. And so the easiest way is to, on slide 1, we're going to open up the folder and we're just going to drag and drop it in. And I'm doing K mixed. So now I can go to slide 2. I think I might split screen it with them. It's easier. Okay, you can just drag and drop it in. You don't have to just drag and drop it in. You can, if you want to, click on here and go browse your computer to find them, but I like to just drag and drop it in. Okay, so I am going to go and add in all my images and then I'll bring you back. Now, just a tip, guys, you obviously don't just have to use the images I've given you. You can use any images you want. If you've got a Lesson Picks subscription, you could use Lesson Picks images. You could use Boardmaker images. You could just search Google and find them. There are lots of different options. I've just given you the articulation cards just to help because a lot of people aren't used to having to find these graphics, but you can use whatever you have. Okay, so that's that done. I just want to point one more thing out. If you don't want to have to use a template at all for your cards, you can just go new slide and choose a blank card, and then this is just fully blank and you can bring in whatever you want. That's also an option. Okay, now that we've made our cards, we can go File, Save a Copy, or Save As, or whatever options you have. And then we're going to save it as, so I did a drop down. I'm going to choose JPEG or PNG. It doesn't really matter. They're just graphics. So I'm going to choose PNG, Portable Network Graphics Format. And I'm going to call it K-Clue Cards. And I'm going to save it in the Make Your Own folder, but you need to save it wherever you want to because everything's going to go into a folder called K-Clue Cards or whatever you save it as. And I choose all slides. I don't want just one. I want all the slides. And it's going to export them all as a graphic, and that's just telling me that that's happened. So now we can get out of that because we don't need this anymore. And now if we go back to our folder to extras and we go to Make Your Own, we'll be able to find all our clue cards. There they are. Okay, so you've made your clue cards, you've got them there now. They're all sized up perfectly to fit into the game. So now if we go back to where you had your game files. So right, we made one called Escape the House K Mixed. We're going to open that one because this is the one we're going to edit. I mean, you could do this after you've made the cards, make the copy of the game if you want to, like save a copy of the game now. It really doesn't matter when you do that so long as you save a copy so you're not saving over the original game. Alright, so now all you need to do is find all the cards, that all the slides that have this picture on it, okay? And we need to change them out. So we are going to click once, but if we just click once, what's going to happen is we're going to select the entire card, and let me show you what this is. If we move this, we've got this card on top of this card, but see how it's got nice shadowing around it to make it look like an actual card, and it means when it flips, it's all the right size to flip to look like you flipped the card. So it means that I've had to group two things on top of each other. We've got a white background here with a shadow, and then we've got this graphic here. This graphic here, this photo, that's what you're replacing. So it's really important because these are grouped. You do not ungroup this. Okay, do not ungroup this, otherwise none of the animations will work. But you need to double click. See, once I click once and I've selected this entire shape or this entire group here. We need to click again. See how now another borders come up? If you're on a Mac, the border will not be as close, but you need to make sure that you've selected this inside graphic, right click. You know you've done it right if when you right click, or if you're on a Mac, double finger tap on your trackpad if you're on a Mac and you can't right click for some reason, all right? And it says change picture. If it says change picture, you've done the right thing, because look, if I don't double click and I just try, it doesn't say change picture. It doesn't say I can change it. So we need to click again. So we select the inside thing here, right click, change picture from file, and I'm going to go grab those. So we popped them in the extras, didn't we? Our cards. Those are the graphics we just made. and make your own K clue cards. This is what we need. And we can just go slide 1. There we are. Our clue card is now in the game. We can select that middle one by clicking twice. Change picture from file. Slide 2. So we just go down and find all the slides that have this graphic on it, and we're changing out the graphic. So now we're scrolling through these slides down here. Slide 12. Click it again. I mean, if you don't have 18 clue cards, you could just leave this graphic here for some of them. It wouldn't matter. So I'm going to go ahead and change all of those, and then we'll come back. Actually, I'm not going to change them all. You get the idea. Change them all, and then they'll all be there. But we've changed it in the kitchen and the living room, so we'll have a look at that now. So we can save this now and use it with our students, and let's have a look what's happened. Because we've added our targets to it when we into slideshow mode from the beginning, and we hit start, and we go to the living room, because we know we've changed those out, and we click on one, and we hit open, and we go read clue card. So we read the card. There's your clue card, and when we hit flip card, the Wi-Fi code's still on the back. So that's why it's really important you don't ungroup it, that you change out the right thing. So that's why I've made it that you make the card on a different PowerPoint, and you bring it in. Okay, so then we can go back to the living room, open it up, and now your student has to say cap, and then once they've said it, you can flip the card and they can have the code to put in the form. So that is how to add your own targets to this game. The final part of this video is really just for those of you who want to also change out these cards so that the Wi-Fi code's different. So for this, you're going to have to make new cards and change the form. So this is kind of like extra for experts. It's not something I'm going to say you have to do, but if you do want to extend it, and you just want that option, because I do get emails from some of you sometimes who want to edit it the extra mile, we'll cover that now. But if you're not wanting to change out what the actual Wi-Fi password is, then you can finish watching this video now. Do check out our information about our membership site if you are not already a member. If you're watching this, you may have purchased this. I mean, you may have got this from our membership site, but if you're not, remember you can get everything for one price for the year, and it gives you our entire materials library, including this game, plus anything new, plus a bunch of online games as well. But now let's get into the final part of this video, which is changing out the Wi-Fi code. Okay, so to change out the codes, you're going to want to do two things. You need to change the card that has the code on it that looks like this, and you need to change out the form, so the form will accept your new code. Now, the reason you might want to change the code is if you would like to create more versions of this game. I've given you 2 versions, and you might want to create version 3, version 4, version 5. So it just will mean all you're doing is changing the Wi-Fi password. So the first thing you need to do is make the code cards. So go back to your product file folder, go to where it says extras, go to make your own, and go to where it says Wi-Fi code card template. I'm going to open that. It's going to open in PowerPoint. We're going to save it, save a copy for like code cards V2, no V3, because we've already got V2. So we save a copy so that we've got that. And then what we need to do, sorry, I was just moving my keyboard. Okay, so then what we need to do is change out these numbers. That's all you got to do next. So what I recommend you to do, if it's a 2-digit number, change it to another 2-digit number. So I might do like 68. If it's a letter, change it to be a capital letter of a different kind. So if it's a 1-digit number, change it to a 1-digit number. And that's so that the clues work out properly. Okay, so you will change these out. Okay, so keep the letters as letters and numbers as numbers, and keep the digits the same. So change 7 to a single digit. And then what you're going to do is, once you've done all of that, you're going to go File, Save a Copy, save it as PNGs, which are Portable Network Graphic format, and name, you can leave it Code Card V3. I'm going to choose all slides. Okay, so what that's done is it's created a folder now, says Code Cards V3, and there's our new code, okay, that you've changed. So you can change all 18 slides if you want, or just a few of the slides. It's still going to change up the code. Okay, then what you need to do is add it to the game. So we're going to go we're going to close this here, and we're going to close this here. Now, I'm going to go back to a game, because you will do this before a session. It's not like your games will already be open. Go to game files, copy version 2. You could open it and save a copy, or just copy paste the file, call it v3, because, or whatever you want to call it. This is like your version 3. So you wouldn't call it kmixed, because you're not changing the targets, you're just changing out the Wi-Fi password. All right, so I'm going to open up v3. Okay, and so what we need to do here is, the first thing is we're going to have to change the link that's here later on, because you're going to have a new form. But first thing you're going to do is go and change out your cards. So go to where these cards are, the clue cards, where you see this graphic. Click on this graphic and right click, send to back. When you send it to the back, it brings forward this card. Double click like you had to do for changing out the targets, because you want to make sure you grab the inside graphic. Right click, change picture from file, and go and find it. It's here where we saved it, code cards v3. And we're changing out part 1, so make sure you change out part 1. And then find the next one, slide that has this card on it, send that to the back. Then click on this card, because we've got a different card at the front now. Double click to make sure you get the inside graphic, right click, change picture from file, and you change part 2. So make sure you're changing out the same part. It says it right here, so that makes it easier for you. It says part 3 here, so I know it's part 3. So go ahead and change all those out, okay? And then what you can do is go back and send these to the back if you want, so that just so your students don't see that. It's not going to change the game, really. It's just nice so that when you open it up, your students don't see the password if you're sharing your screen before you've entered it, even though they'll only see the first few. Some people might want to do that where they send the cards back to the back so that this graphic is in front, because remember, all this is 2 things on top of each other, right? Okay, so you've created that, you save it, so you've got your new code in there. Then what you need to do is open up that file again that has the that has your clue cards in it, that has your Wi-Fi code in it, because this is your new code and you need to put this in the form. So I'm just going to pop this on my other screen for now. If you don't have another screen, it doesn't matter, just close the thing, just close the file. Now what you're going to do is you're going to go back to actually, you know what we're going to do? We're going to go back to here to where it says game files. Go to Wi-Fi code forms. Click on either one of these, it doesn't matter which one. Make a copy. So this won't write over your old one. Sorry guys, my computer's a bit slow. And the first thing you want to do once you've got your copy is go up here and change this to say V2, and here change V3, sorry, because this is version 3, because we're making a new one, and then change this to be version 3 as well. And then you've got your new form, okay? And what you can do is click on part 1, and all you're changing is this number here, right? So let's split screen this next to our files that had our cards in it. Extras, make your own, because that's where I chose to save it. You change it, save it somewhere you can find it. Okay, so this is our code here. So I'm just gonna split screen it next to it. So I know that the first one I need to change to 68, right? Part 2, what's part 2? Because it's slide 2, or it says part 2 here, is G. So I can just change that to G. And now here's why I told you to leave it as a capital letter or a 2-digit number, because the clue is here and it says hint, this is a capital letter, right? And it says here, hint, this is a 2-digit number. If you change this to something different, like you made it a full word or something like that, you're going to have to change this to say something else, and you're also going to have to change this to be text. So if you want it to be all letters because you're spelling something, look at how I've set up part 2, text, contains, and then put that in there That's how you're going to need to set them up. So I don't want you to have to, this is not a video about how to do that. So we're just keeping it easy here. Just change out this bit here. So part 3 is 79. So once you're finished, so go in and edit and put in your things. Once you're finished, you're done. You only have to do that once. You can do what we did last time. Hit send, hit the link button, shorten the link because it's just prettier. Hit copy, then go back to your version 3. So open version 3, which we know has that new code in it. And we need to make sure that the form that's in this game is for our new code, our new password. So we're going to right click on that button there. So we've selected the button, we've right clicked on it, we hit link. I have so many files open, my computer's so slow. Here's a tip for you. If you're doing teletherapy, don't have all these files open. Like I have this game open in like 3 different versions and I've got lots of Chrome things open and stuff. Not a good idea, guys. Like if you're doing teletherapy, just have things open that you need, not a lot of extra stuff. Okay, so that is now linked up to have our address on it. And when we play now, we'll enter play mode. Let me just close that because you're not going to have that. And we can now, when we click this button, it's not going to ask us to make a copy. It's going to take us to the form. That's for version 3, right? Because we've updated the form. I just closed it because we don't need it, but we would need it if we were actually playing, but we don't need it for the tutorial. And then we would just play the game. So remember we changed out our cards. So that means that when we open it and we flip it over, there's our new number, because for the last version it was not 68, it was 20. So that is how you change the Wi-Fi code. Remember, obviously, if you want to add your targets, that's changing out the front graphic. That's previously shown in this video, but this is more about how to change out the Wi-Fi password and change the form. And remember, you can also change the message you get at the end. That is shown earlier in this video. And also you can edit the story if you want. And you can edit this as well, but you can't edit the boy. Okay, so I hope that you found this helpful. Do reach out if you have any questions. I know this video has been long, but I've given you timestamps so that you only have to read the part, watch the parts you need, okay? You don't actually have to watch all of this unless you're someone who wants to really like make the most of this resource. But if you're just wanting to use this open-ended, get it out, get it going, have some fun with your students, then I've made it so that you can just watch certain parts of this video. It's really important to me that I give you the information you need to make the most out of your purchases, and that's why this video is so long. Remember, this is under copyright. This is my intellectual property. Do not share it with anyone else. Please read the terms of use, and reach out if you have any questions. My email is, there's contact forms on my website, or my email is also in the terms of use document. Take care, guys. Bye.